Now, the arrival of any new brand to the market, always very exciting, and we've been talking about the imminent arrival of MG for some time now. But now it's starting to get real, and so while there's been a lot of talk from the brand about how the car is going to be very different, they've also mentioned that it's going to be a different experience for consumers, including the retail experience. Now, I've been invited here by MG to check out its flagship store in Gurgaon at its headquarters just outside of New Delhi, and I'm going to try and find out if that is true. Not quite your typical showroom. MG's first brand store in India is a window to what the brand stands for. It's an introduction to MG Motor and in many ways talks as much about the car from MG as its brand culture. The Hector is MG's first product for India, and so of course it is the first thing that greets you when you walk in, and the car is the star, so you get to see a whole lot of them straight away. Now, that you might expect from a flagship store. It's the positioning and the sense of space that's entirely different. I mean, all these cars are nicely lined up, almost ready for action. It's a tarmac-like running road here. And then, well, look up there, you get a great sense of space and also get to see how the car looks from its top view. That certainly is different. And then you've also got that. The biggest video wall you've seen. The idea is to always have something related to the car or the brand playing on this screen. It can also be used for presentations and conferences. The mirrored ceilings in this section and further inside make the space look even bigger than it is. And that's the whole idea, to have different sections which are treated very differently in terms of the space itself. The MG brand may now be owned by SAIC, but its heritage is British, so there are several obviously British elements, including a functioning Big Ben. The MG Hector is an SUV with 3 powertrain options and plenty of tech and engineering. In keeping with that, consumers will go paperless here and get to configure their car digitally. So of course I have to sit down with a tablet, and I've got all the features right here in terms of how the car that I want will end up, both in terms of accessories, features, color, and of course price. Now, I'm going to give you a quick disclaimer. Officially, the Hector hasn't been launched yet, and which is why you're not going to see prices in what I do. But first things first. All right, so I'm going to go with the hybrid and the manual, because that's the only option there, and proceed. Once you have the variant picked out, it's for me very important, color. So let's get to it. Well, we've been seeing the car in this red for quite some time. I want to quickly point out that you do have the option of projecting or mirroring everything that I'm doing here on the iPad up there on the screen. So if you come in with family members or friends, well, it's not just you who's doing this, but everybody can get involved in that process. That video wall, very cool. All right, so white. Take a look at some of the chrome work that you can already expect on the car, and then if you want to add something as well, you can. There you go. That's the roof carrier option, throwing in a little bit of extra chrome up front. Let me just fully bling it out. Yes, you know I'm never going to do that, but let me go for it. All right, so you can see everything that I'm doing up here is also showing on the big screen over there. So that's not all though. There you go. The car looks very different with that carrier on top, doesn't it? And you can of course swivel it around, look at the top view, nice 360 surround view as well. It's all real time going from this screen to that. What about the inside? Well, same thing, works the same way, where you can take a look at the entire cabin, and that's where I think having it on the big screen gives you a very different perspective. Cabin mats, I really like these rubber mats, so I'm going to go with those. Let's see, there we go. Nice. And proceed. And finally, it's going to work and give me the car as I have built it. Like I said, the actual pricing will show up once the official launch is done. A tech and engineering corner, a coffee section, a library, something for the kids, and meeting rooms for the adult discussions. Yes, as I said before, this is not a showroom, is it? Now, another crucial part of this entire process and endeavor is conversations over coffee. You want to know more about that? Well, so do I. And so I am in that zone or that part of the setup. And joining me right now is Rajiv Chaba, who is the man behind a lot of this. I know you're going to say it's you and your team. Rajiv, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Good to see you. And what a different environment for us to be chatting for a change.
Right.
I said conversations and coffee. This whole aspect of having this kind of space, not just this part of it, but the whole space in general. Why and where did the idea come from? I have to know.
So you know, like this is in line with our brand purpose of enabling exciting experience every time. So we thought we will have an experience center or flagship store, as we call it, of our own, and we'll try to give a very different experience. Also, like where we are sitting right now on the 10th floor, we have our own office. In fact, we shifted to our office today only. So if you go to our office, if you come here, you'll find it. This is different than other places, whether it's office or the showroom. And it goes back again to the same thing that if we need to be successful in this market, which is very tough and it's ruled by 2-3 guys, so we need to do things in a different way, in a disruptive way.
We hear the word disruptive and being different. We hear these words very often now, especially from car makers. So the worry always is, are you doing it for the sake of being different? That's one. And second, how much of this is individual to MG India versus MG worldwide?
So I think it's a pretty good question, and this is what I normally qualify. Today you caught me on that. I didn't qualify. It has to be disruptive, different, but it has to be relevant to consumer. It has to make sense. Don't be different just for the heck of being different. It has to be relevant. So as an example, if you see here in this particular showroom, like we are trying to create some kind of an experience also for consumers. Is it relevant? In today's agent world, that's what matters, right? Like my favorite example, if the millennials and the younger generation goes to a restaurant, they take a picture of the food first and share. So are we able to create a shareable experience? I would like to believe yes in this place. So that's why I think it's relevant. Also, when you see the car and you have seen the car in and out, lots of features, they're disruptive but relevant to consumer. Do you want a big screen inside? Yes, you want it. You want a big sunroof? Yes, you want it, right? Internet in the car and you want to be connected? Yes, you want to be connected. So it's disruptive but relevant. So I hope I make my point there. Now coming to MG global philosophy versus local, I would say we, it's basically an opportunity as well as a challenge. The challenge was we are starting at this point of time when the market is tough, when there are lots of established players, we have a long way to go. And the opportunity was that can you create something new without any baggage and you have a clean slate. So we got lucky that we got a clean slate, and from there you have to start, and I'm lucky that our team is really good. It's also different than the MG Global, because in MG Global, you know, they have their own respective issues. So we are different than MG Global also, I would say, though we follow the MG norms globally, but local taste, local renditions, we are able to take that liberty, and the headquarter allows us to take those liberties. So I think we are slightly different than MG Global also.
More part of that team for sure then, because this looks great. The other aspect which gets talked about a lot nowadays is about the move towards being more digital. At the same time, the opportunity to continue to penetrate the market, tier 2, tier 3, balancing those two must be tricky. I mean, on the one hand, you want to invest in moving a lot of the operation to digital, and on the other, you have to still look at things like this. How do you balance those two, and why then does something like this still become relevant?
Very interesting, and I would say it's not only in auto industry, everywhere it's getting balanced. Like sometimes you feel that, okay, I'll start only online, and then you're going from online to offline, right? And then offline to online. So it's a hybrid model in every industry, and I think we are also not different. So here we are going to try all kinds of models. You know, it's true for marketing, it's true for experience. We are also trying to experiment trying with some experience centers without a car, right? Just to experiment on that. So we are trying to do all that kind of thing. But the right answer probably is a balanced approach, hybrid approach. You need both. You know, though we are trying to say digital, paper-free and things like that, but still at some places I think we require that. Tier 2, Tier 3, frankly, are no different than Tier 1 in terms of our target audience. They're also like Tier 1 in terms of behavior, psychographics, and the expectations they have from our kind of brand.
I see, the stuff for kids to do here. There's, of course, coffee and, the fact that you can sit down and have conversations. And this, of course, being the flagship store, sort of has a full representation of the whole suite of features. So the last point, of course, is how much of this gets replicated across the country in all the different showrooms. You've already announced, of course, a very sizable number of touch points by September.
Right. So actually, most of the elements are going to be there at every touch point. So in terms of British design, in terms of configurators, the electronic screen, the big video screen.
Staying paperless, for example.
Paperless, it's a challenge. We are trying to do that. Coffee shop, so all these things are going to be common. But yes, depending on the size, you may not have adequate space, or proportionately you need to find the space for everything. So most of the elements are replicable, and this is what is going to be there everywhere. In fact, even our facade and outside will not look like a typical dealer showroom. It's different, right? And again, different means you stand out, I guess. So I think we are also excited to give a different kind of an experience, and let's see how does it go.
Let the games begin. All the very best.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting us in here.
Thanks for coming. Thank you very much.
MG says similar elements will be found in all its dealerships across the country too. There will be 120 centers opening this month with a 250-strong pan-India network by September 2019.